am back with my September plan with me, and I know I'm a bit late with this one, but I mentioned it in my last video that I took a break from social media at the end of July and throughout August, so I'm spending this month catching up on my plan with me videos. For this month, I wanted to do a Polaroid theme, and this was inspired by raesdailypage on Instagram. This is all so easy to doodle since you can fill each tiny Polaroid picture with whatever you want, and I think that is just so fun. Starting off with the cover page, I doodled this large Polaroid camera. I just googled a picture of one and used that as a reference. It is really easy to draw. Once you have the outer shape, the most important parts to the camera are all the little details inside. I added a couple of little buttons on the handle part, the light, the strap, and the lens. At the top of the camera, I doodled a Polaroid sticking out, and in this you can honestly add any scenery you want, but in mine I drew some mountains with a few small trees in the front, and then in the night sky I wrote out September and threw in a crescent moon and a few twinkling stars. For the colors, I mainly wanted to stick to a blue color palette with a few other pastel colors reserved for the Polaroid pictures only. I used a light baby blue color for the camera, and you can see that by adding a few extra layers of color here and there, it creates a shadow effect and really makes the picture pop out more. I also used a medium tone blue to highlight the top of the calendar, as well as a dark blue I used to color the night sky in the Polaroid. I colored in the mountains using a very light wash of gray, and I just used my Micron pen to sketch out some tiny trees. Using my Sakura white jelly pen, I wrote out September, and I doodled the moon and the stars using this really pretty metallic silver marker by Uni Posca. At the end, I thought the background needed a bit more color, so I just used the light blue marker and traced over all of the star doodles. It might look super subtle on camera, but I thought it made a big difference that gave the blank background just a little something extra. Moving on to the calendar page, I made these boxes 6 by 6, and I wrote out the first letter to the days of the week at the top, making sure they connected with the calendar lines. Then in the top and bottom corners, I added in these tiny but adorable strings of hanging Polaroids. Here's where you can get really creative and just fill them with your favorite doodles. For mine, I drew a little moon and stars, a cactus in the sunlight, a burst of yellow flowers, some lavender flowers, a sunrise peeking over some hills, a little leaf, and some trees in the night sky. To the left of the calendar, I wrote out September, and then I added my monthly to-do list at the bottom. I still had a bit of empty space left at the top of the page, so I threw in a cute quote that says, "Collect memories, not things." I wrote this out in cursive, and for every downstroke, I added an extra line so it created this hollow faux calligraphy effect. And then I just added a bunch of random stars around the rest of the page. So to color in the Polaroid pictures, I used the light blue, a pastel pink, a light golden yellow, a muted green, and a pastel lavender color. I really loved how these color combinations look together, so I also used them to make little circles in the calendar before writing the dates on top. I really wanted to keep this month a bit simpler than usual, so for my mood tracker, I just doodled a string of hanging Polaroids zigzagging down the page. Since there's 30 days in the month, I made 6 string sections with 5 Polaroids hanging on each string. It was a bit tedious trying so many Polaroids over and over again, but it's so easy to do since they're literally just rectangles. It looked a bit boring on its own, so I scattered more stars across the page, And for a bit of color, I just copied what I did with the calendar and used the pastel markers to make little circles on the bottom parts of the Polaroids and added the dates on top. Then for my habit tracker, I thought I would have a little fun with this since I'm only including 4 habits this month. So at the bottom, I drew the Polaroid camera again, except this time it is at like a tilted angle. In the Polaroid popping out of the top, I wrote out habit. And then for the trackers, I included the little calendars in the middle of these 4 large Polaroid picture outlines. It's honestly so simple. The hardest part was making sure the calendars were centered in each one. And now for my weekly spreads. I really did not want to create 4 different spread designs, so I decided to try this Dutch door method. I've never done a Dutch door before, but I'm actually obsessed with it now. It just makes life so much easier since you don't need to plan as much. So let me explain my process here. On the first page, I counted 11 squares in from the edge and I drew a border down the page. I doodled in 3 larger hanging Polaroids, and again, you can draw whatever you want in them. I did another mountainy scene, a few hanging plants, and then some big sunflowers with these tiny little bees flying around the top. Next, I laid out all 5 weeks of the month so I knew how many pages I'd be using, and on the page for the last weekly spread, I did the same exact process. I counted 11 dots in from the edge, drew a border down the page, and added 2 hanging Polaroid pictures with a camera sitting at the bottom. In these 2, I decided to doodle a lavender field with a telephone pole in the background, and then I doodled some ocean waves with a starry night sky. After I was done with the doodles, I wrote out the days on each page using faux calligraphy, and I just filled in the text using the pastel markers, making sure to alternate the colors. I thought the numbers looked a bit thin and hard to see, so I just rewrote them using the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen. Okay, now for the actual Dutch door part. I took the pages between the first and last weekly spreads, and counting in 11 dots, I used a pencil and very lightly made the same border lines from top to bottom of each page. This just acted as a guide for where I had to cut so I didn't take off too much or too little. After you cut the pages, you should be left with this really cool Dutch door layout where you can see both doodles. This is honestly more writing room than I need, but I still love how it turned out. It's just so cool and something I've never done before, and I think I'm going to continue using this method for a while. that is it for my September plan with me. I hope you all liked it, and let me know if you decide to try out the Dutch door method as well. If you recreate any of these spreads, please tag me on Instagram at AFZXX3. Again, I'm so sorry this was uploaded a bit late, and I appreciate you all for understanding. Please stay safe and healthy, and I will see you all in my October plan with me, which will be uploaded very soon. Bye!